Alright, looks like we are live. So I'm going to see if I can find some pictures in the lesson. Ooh-wee. 60 questions. Yeah, I imagine there's some pictures. Okay, so let's get a little bit more basic than the end of the lesson. So, let me zoom in. Make this a little bit better. So what we have here is a transformer connections. So this is a primary delta, secondary delta, single voltage. What they're talking about, you can see through here. I wonder if I can pictures. Let's do this. New folder. Okay. So let's open up. Let's open in. Oh, it went away. Pictures. Open with paint. Let's resize. Sorry y'all are having to watch this. Alright, so now that we have a picture, so let's select. Move it a little bit closer to the center. Alright, so you can see in this picture, if you were to trace out, so this is, oh, I don't like that. Okay. You have coil A, B, and C. Down here it's also A, B, and C. What you've got is A and C are connected, A and B, then B and C. Then you have, actually, they label it different. 1, L2, L3. And then down here, it's still A and C are connected, then A and B and C. So you've got one leg. So basically, a good way to identify between a Y and a delta is if you look at, just take A. Take A for example. A, like one side of A is connected to just one side of, is only connected to C and line 1. Well, that's an instant, like just looking at right here, I know this is a delta transformer. Now, on a question where it's like, which one of these is a delta, they might have some completely wrong options, but you have, right now, I know this is a delta because it is connected to the line and another coil. In a Y, the sides of the transformer will be either connected to the line or another coil. Is a pretty good way to tell. A delta drawing will not have a neutral line. It will only have 3 lines. A Y can have 3 or 4 lines because a Y connection might have a neutral line. Okay, so next up is a Y primary, delta secondary. So you can see, and I'm not going to download this one and do all that so I can draw on it, but you can see in this one, this first line is just, it's connected to the line, and there's no other connection there. Then the other side is connected to two coils, but not a line. Then down here you can see that it's connected to the line and a coil. Here you can see you've got 4 rows and 4 rows. This is a YY. So each one side of each coil is connected to A, B, or L1, L2, L3. Then the other sides are all connected together. That is a Y. Primary delta, secondary Y. So again, delta, one side is connected to a coil and the other side is connected to a coil. That means it's a delta. And I would look at the rest of the connections, but that is how each coil is going to be connected to a coil and connected to a coil, connected to a coil, connected to a coil, connected to a coil, connected to a coil. Then down here, connected to a line, connected to a coil, line, coil, line, coil. So now we are getting into high voltage and low voltage. So we've beaten the dog, or beaten the horse for Y and delta. The different voltage levels, there's only higher voltage and lower voltage. What higher voltage means, so this is still, and let me save this one so I can draw on it. Paint. Resize. Alright, so where's my, there we are. So this is still A, B, and C. A, B, and C. But if you look, there's 2 coils. They split the coil from this drawing. So this is a single voltage or single coil. What they did is they took right here and split it into 2 separate coils. And the way you connect those 2 coils together determines high or low voltage. So if it's straightforward, you go, so if the voltage comes in here and goes through the whole coil, they are connected in series, meaning voltage adds. So this is series. Let me beautify that S. And then down here, if voltage came in, it would split. It would split and come through the 2 coils. So the 2 coils are in parallel. And if they're in parallel, the voltage is the same. So if these were all 120 volt coils, This one up here would be 240. Ooh, that was bad. 240 volts. Down here, if they were 120 volt coils, this would be 120 volts, because in parallel the voltage doesn't add together. Both these transformers would have the same capacity, just different voltage levels. So let's take this back to the lesson. So now you have to do two things. You have to identify whether it's a Y or delta, and then determine whether the coils are in series or parallel. And that's 100% of identifying transformers. Is it Y? Is it delta? Are they in series? Are they in parallel? So again, you can look. This is in parallel up top, so I know it's lower voltage. This is in series down in the bottom, so I know it's higher voltage. Also, I have 3 lines. Got 3 lines. This side of coil A is connected to that side of coil C. Then coils A and B, and then B and C are all connected together. So I know it's delta primary. And then looking at the bottom, it's the same. It's delta secondary. So this is the same top and bottom, except it's low voltage and high voltage. This is another question that's good to look at. All right. Let me find some more. And I would go through the homework, really. This is single voltage, single phase drawings. Okay, so the same concept applies in single phase. These two coils are wired in parallel because they're not connected to each other. So this is going to provide 120 volts to load 1. This one's going to provide 120 volts to load 2. If you had connected them together right here, you would get 240 volts. This would provide 120 volts and the full load of the full capacity of the transformer to that 120 volt load. Here is an example what I was talking about, the 240 volts. See how they are connected together. 220 volt coils connected in series to get 240 volts. This is an interesting one. You have 220 volt coils here, but there's a connection to a neutral wire here. So this is how your house would be set up. You have a 120 volt coil and a 120 volt coil. If you connected from here to here, you would get 240. But if you connected from either of these to this neutral grounded wire, you would get 120. And I guess these are... No? I don't know what these are at the bottom. Oh, it's a drag and drop, like which one of these drawings is the correct drawing. Okay. And all these other questions are mostly things that we've talked about already. These pictures, we talked about it, but I didn't show the pictures. Alright, I'm going to call that good on the transformer drawings. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I will answer them, and if they're good questions, I will cover them. If you want to ask them in another lesson, I'll be glad to help them cover them next time I stream. Alright, you guys get to work on that lesson, and I'll see you in a little bit.